Hi, this is Robert. Sorry if I'm not looking my best. I'm dealing, or sounding my best either. I'm dealing with really bad allergies, some of the worst I've ever had. And frankly, I'm just devastated and just suffering and mourning over what's gone on in Texas and what's going on in our society. I was watching the Glenn Beck program today, and he seemed to be the only one who was discussing anything beyond the Second Amendment in politics. This is so much deeper than the Second Amendment. This is the result of the fact that this has been going on well beyond this, but when they shut down society for 2 years, I wrote about it on Facebook, and I don't think I can. I was gonna post this to Facebook, but then sorry, had a little error. I was just gonna post this to Facebook, and I just really didn't want to. I felt like I had to speak it rather than write it. I had to get this out off of my mind and out and speak it and share it to deal with something we're all suffering with, whether you're on the right or the left. Unless you're completely emotionally dead inside, this is more than a political issue. If you see this as just a political weapon to bludgeon your opponents with, then there's something deeply wrong with you. I typed this up. It says, I was talking about the Glenn Beck program's opening monologue. It just really said, this opening monologue broke my heart today. The entire broadcast was heart-wrenching. We are so sick as a society. Almost everyone else I hear and listen to is fighting a political battle over this instead of talking about the fact that this is so much deeper than just the Second Amendment. Our society is being destroyed by people who enjoy dividing us and tearing us apart. They gain power from it, and that's all that matters to them. We don't matter. We're just pawns on the chessboard. They shut down society for almost 2 years. The majority of the United States, they isolated not only the adults, but the children as well. I suffered tremendous mental anguish at the division and hatred that was caused from our political elites using us as clubs in their battle against each other. What do you think it did to our kids? Just ask yourself that. What did this do to our kids? Kids who were vulnerable, kids who needed guidance, kids who were supposed to be learning how to function in a society that they were suddenly found themselves locked out of, and now we tell them to go right back in as if nothing had changed and happened. Does this surprise us if we actually think about it? They see the adults spewing their hate across the internet. They see the encouragement of hate and division and violence. They see that they're being forced to choose a side in a conflict that they really can't even comprehend, honestly. I mean, do we even honestly believe that a child knows what they're saying if they are asked, do you feel comfortable in your body? I mean, just questions like that. And there's just so much more being taught in the schools. They're being confused and manipulated in schools by teachers who, many of them, are just agents in deconstructing society. I was going to go on writing more, but I just had to get it out and verbally express just the disgust of everything that's going on. People are talking about how this isn't an issue with the Second Amendment. It's an issue with mental illness. I have a mental illness. I would never, ever in my life consider doing something as wicked and evil as was done in Texas or in Buffalo. After the Buffalo shooting, I was on Twitter just discussing my views on immigration, and someone got in an argument with me. And the things he said about me, I mean, I stated my opinions on the border situation, and he accused me of being racist. He accused me of spreading hatred. Nothing I said or felt or have ever felt about people who come from another country and are illegally immigrating our country, I've never characterized them the way he was characterizing me. He was quite plainly demonstrating that he thought I was evil and morally just people who speak out against hate, the ones who say, use all the terms like bigot and homophobe and transphobe and racist. They're some of the most hateful people I've ever encountered. It's just their hate is approved. Their hate is approved by the people with societal power. And we need to wake up. We need to decide if we want to continue down this path of escalating hatred and violence and brutality, or whether we want to stand up and say that we are more than what divides us. I've been in love with 3 separate trans women as a conservative. I've loved them deeply. And I've been told by my religion, and I've heard conservative commentators say that not only they would say that not only is me loving these women wrong, but these women simply living their lives as women is wrong. And some of them have actually said they shouldn't be allowed to do so. And all 3 of these women that I've known and loved, I am glad that they got to be the women that they showed me to be, that they were wonderful, fantastic women, some of the best I've ever known, and they never came off to me as anything but authentically female. And maybe that's heretical to say against my religion, maybe that's political heresy against my party, but I don't care. Our society has fallen beyond politics. This goes so much deeper than just political battles. I've always wanted to be a voice for healing and unity and helping people to see that they can show kindness and love to people they disagree with. I'm starting to wonder whether maybe I've been wrong all this time. Maybe we enjoy too much. We really enjoy the sense of righteous anger we get at opposing something that we see as a threat to us in our beliefs. I think it's happening on both sides, and I think both sides enjoy it. I'm not going to fully do the both sides argument. I do believe that the ideological left is deeply, deeply hateful and dangerous to society and the survival of the human race. I mean, we can't go on like this anymore. I've been struggling with feelings of wanting to know whether I feel like I can continue on in this world with my depression and anxiety and just losing connection from everyone I've ever had in this world. I have so little human connection anymore outside of my girlfriend and a few family connections. I've mentioned in other videos that back in 2020 I tried committing suicide for the first time in 12 years because of how, in large part because of how my family reacted to my first love with a trans woman. And I had made so much progress in my mental stability up to that point, and then just the feeling of rejection, and just feeling like I was no longer enough to people who loved me, that I felt when they reacted the way they did to me just simply loving somebody that was special to me. It hurt me so bad that March 2020, this was more than 2 years ago, 2 years and maybe a few months, I still haven't gotten over that. I've struggled every day since that moment with mental anguish, and I immediately my mind just started to disconnect from my family. Even when they did, some of them did come to me and state that they were sorry about how they reacted. I just lost the ability to trust my own family anymore. And I really never felt like I was connected in the LGBT community, other than, like, literally for the last 2 years, the only human connections I've had that felt real and that weren't a source of pain were with my trans fiancés and girlfriends. And I'm trying to rebuild the connections I lost, but I mean, I just obsess so much about what's going on in the world when I listen to podcasts and hear the open and celebrated and encouraged and excused and justified hatred and anger of people who think like me. And hearing the reactions to it and the responses to it, and just seeing the division just every day escalate by, I mean, everybody said Donald Trump was divisive. I've never seen division the likes of which I've seen from the administration that's in power today. It's really astonishing the way they can stir up passions and hatred, and how much they enjoy doing it. They have no shame. It's disgusting. And I do see an awakening, and it is encouraging, but still at the same time, they're still being very successful in destroying our society and destroying our social cohesion. We are not united as a society. We are so divided. We are not the United States of America. We are the divided United States of America, the divided states of America, and we are just, we're being torn apart, and we're sheep being led to the wolves, and we're willingly following along, and the wolves will feast upon our freedom, and it will go away. That's what I fear about. And I mean, no matter which side you adhere to right now, I mean, we're all going to lose our freedoms. That's my fear. And we're going to be ruled by people, these elitists in power, who tell us what's good for us, tell us what's acceptable behavior, what's, as Justin Trudeau put it, they'll tell us if you have unacceptable views. Just how alien is that very phrase to a society that is supposed to be built on freedom, supposed to have freedom as the ultimate ideal, and we don't have that anymore. We don't have that shared ideal. Many of our citizens in this country and around the world want freedom squelched and quashed because they see it as oppressive. They see people having disagreements about how they live their lives as oppression. Like trans people who are not validated in their trans identity. I feel sad for them. I'm sorry for them, but I'm sorry. It's not an act of violence, as some would equate it to. It's not an act of violence. It's not hate speech to say that you don't want to reject thousands of years of society and understood reality and science. And just within the last 3 or 4 years, we're supposed to just accept that thousands of years we've been wrong, and that radically somehow, without any kind of scientific backing other than them branding it as science, like they just say it's science, so we're supposed to accept that. But they say that there is no such thing as man and woman. They're just societal roles, that gender constructs, social constructs that were created over the years, that there was nothing natural in the growth of gender roles. And you can't expect everybody to go along with that, and you can't label them as hateful if they don't want to go along with it. And our society is never going to heal if that's our attitude in life. We can allow people to disagree with us and not see them as hateful or enemies of the state, domestic terrorists, white supremacists. Just how many awful things have I personally been labeled as a white Christian conservative? I supposedly have white privilege. I'm supposedly immune to being self-conscious about my race. Maybe that was once a reality. Maybe once I didn't have to worry about my race, but in all honesty, whenever I'm in a discussion with someone of another race and race comes up, it happened at a gay bar with my girlfriend just the other day. She's got some Native American in her ancestry. She's Navajo, and she met somebody who was another Native American, from another Native American tribe, and they were talking. He was talking about the evils done to his people by the white man, and he looked at me and he said, "No offense, Robert, but," and then he went on to list all the atrocities done, and the accusation was pretty clear. It was saying that, I don't want to offend you, but in reality, you are to blame for this. Like, your people did this to my people. Never mind that I never knew any of his people. He never knew any of my people. They were long dead before we were ever born. I bear guilt of their sins as a white person. And this has been hammered home to everybody who is white in Western society, that we are guilty of our ancestors' crimes and sins. And this is the reality we face. No one who is white is condemning. I don't know anyone in the conservative movement who shares and holds views of other races like people in the Democrat leadership have openly and proudly shared about white people. And it's just evil and hateful, but we're the evil, hateful people. It's been turned around on us because we say things that if you deconstruct the sentence and you look into it, there's a dog whistle that everybody's hearing. I've never heard it, but I've heard open celebrations and screaming from the rooftop, "We hate you, white people." I've gotten this message openly. Every day I've heard it in some form, shared proudly, sometimes by other white people. And I've heard it against black people. I mean, black people are called white adjacent if they find success by using what was it, the natural history of science, some kind of natural, I don't know, some museum or something came up with some supposed list of white characteristics that white people use to find success, and they're basically just tools that anyone who wants to live a successful life can use, not just white people. And it's pretty racist to say that only white people can value things like being on time, showing a good work ethic, things like that. I mean, it's just open racism. I've heard it termed the soft bigotry of low expectations. There's nothing soft about it. It's doing tremendous damage to society and us as a people. And if there's any way to wake people up to this, to the fact that we are being broken as a society and people, and being turned against each other in ways I really don't know if we'll ever be able to come back from them if we don't wake up soon. No one is happy with what happened in Texas. No one is not suffering with this. It is you people on the left are not the sole owners of a soul in this world. Everybody in this world is capable of empathy and feeling and sharing with each other's pain, even if they have differing views on how we deal with tragedies. You guys are so arrogant and ignorant to think that you have some kind of sole ownership of moral decency, and that all of your political enemies are just coming from a place of evil and bigotry and hatred. It's just, is no matter how much I support the trans community and how much I want us to help them find acceptance in our society, I will never support a party that promotes hatred like this and uses tragedies, genuine human tragedies that everyone on the face of God's green earth is suffering with and is outraged by and just devastated by. When you just use it as a political weapon against your enemies, you just see it as a convenient tool to get your preferred legislative agendas rammed through with guilt and shame that you paint all over people with mischaracterizations of their motives. And it's just, I'll never support a party that is actively doing that, even if they are the party that is the most supportive of the women that I love. I hope to be an example to freedom-loving Americans that we can open our hearts to people in the trans community, but I will never support the evil being done in the name of progressivism and building back better. And I mean, what they are building back is in no sense can be misconstrued as being better than anything we've known any time throughout America's history. The people promoting the Great Reset, I really hope that the world rises up and fights against this movement, because I know what you guys are wanting to do with society. I've heard you openly speak about it. It's not conspiracy theories. You brag about it behind closed doors because you know that the vast majority of the American people aren't listening to people who would make them aware of your plan. But I mean, call me whatever you want. Call me hateful. Call me bigoted. Call me transphobe. Call me white supremacist, domestic terrorist. I have so many faults. I am mentally ill, but I am not capable of the evil that was done in Buffalo, and I am not capable of the evil that was done in Texas, and I am not capable, and I do not have in my heart the hatred that you people have of me and people with my views. It's just not within me to feel that way about my fellow man. And I may stand in opposition to your agenda, but I guarantee you, I do not hate any one of you with the same level of viciousness that I was met with by that stranger on Twitter for simply having a disagreement in a political issue. I'm sorry, I know this video is long, and maybe I can only limit them to about 20 minutes. Maybe I need at least that much time to get out a thought and express everything I feel about it, but this is one of the most important that I've shared to me. Everybody's suffering with what's going on across this country, the violence, the hatred, the evil. People in the conservative movement, we condemned January 6th just as strongly as we condemned the 2020 Black Lives Matter just destruction of major U.S. cities. The difference is that we called them all out. You people on the left the leaders of the Democrat Party and the mainstream media, the people who shape national opinion and the national conversation. You guys are the ones who are selective about what forms of hatred and bigotry and violence that you will condemn. And we've seen the double standard. And I hope that more and more and more Americans are waking up every day. And I hope that we make our voices heard this 2022 and every election afterwards, that we will not stand for this division in our country, and we will wake up and we will rise up, and with all of our voices united as they have not been in many decades, we will reject this evil being spread throughout our country. God bless America. Save us from ourselves, please.